What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. In the last video, I finally finished repainting the front door on the EVO 10. It did take me a few tries, but I finally got it right. Everything turned out great. When I initially started this project, I planned on doing both doors at the same time, so I did get most of the body work done on both doors at the same time. However, painting is a whole nother beast, so I didn't want to try to tackle both doors, end up messing up both doors. Glad that I did it that way because, again, I did mess up on this thing a couple of times. I'm pretty confident that I have all of my issues figured out, so I'm going to go ahead and tackle the rear door. I'm not sure how far I will get in this video. There's still a little bit of body work to be done on this one. Some of the issues that I had on this one the first time, I know I'm going to have with this one if I don't sand down a little bit more. I'll explain that later on, but I'm going to get this thing off, get started on it, and see how far we get. Stay tuned. If you didn't see the last video, as always, please go check it out. This door came out absolutely amazing. Once I laid the clear coat on there, I did have quite a few dirt and dust nibs. I was able to sand and polish them all out. When I sprayed that clear coat, I sprayed the pressure a little bit lower to keep a little bit of orange peel, and luckily it was able to maintain some of that. Extremely happy with how this front door came out. Really hope I can make the back door look just as good. First thing to do is going to be to get this back door off. Ignore all the little white spots. It's just polished. It's slung everywhere. A little bit on the wheels too. That'll come off as soon as the power washer hits it. For this back door, the extra body work that I need to do, I originally used my DA with 180 grit to knock down all of the imperfections. There were a ton of rock chips on this back door, and there was quite a few on the front as well. It looked like somebody hit a gravel pit and it slung up here and really tore into it. There were a couple of spots up top that weren't super bad, but I ended up going over the 180 grit with it anyway. I did not go back over it with anything else. I completely forgot about those areas, and that's what happened on the front up here. I had one area up top up here, and then one area down here at the bottom. In a certain light, you could see those scratches. I've gone back over this back door, and if you look really closely here, I don't know if you can make out those scratches. Right here you can see it really good because the primer is still in there. Swirls and everything that you see right in there, that's where those 180 grit scratches are at. I am going to do exactly what I did with the front door. I'm going to pull the back door off of the car to work on it. The car is messy enough as it is. I'll get this thing completely washed and detailed as soon as I'm done with all this paint work. For now, I want to keep all my sanding and painting away from the car, so I'll get the door pulled off, I'll get it on a stand, and then we'll get started on this body work. rear door is off of the car. I've got everything masked up. As you saw, I didn't take it straight off. I had to do a few extra things first. The first major thing that I needed to do was remove this back window back here, remove this back glass. When I originally pulled this door off and had planned on painting it, I tried taping around this. My plan is to blend this in right here. Actually pretty easy. You don't even have to remove the glass on this side. You have to roll the window down all the way. There's a bolt up here underneath this seal right here that I showed you. There's one more that's right behind this, and there's another one that's down here. Once you remove all three of those bolts, it's for this little guide. You can kind of maneuver it back and forth. You just kind of have to push the top forward, push the bottom forward, wiggle it around a little bit, and eventually that glass will pull out of there. I also got all the door handle components removed. I got that bolt removed right here. As you can see, the door is all taped off here. All I do is just lay some of my tape and drape over the stand. Once I lay the door over the top of that, I can just kind of wrap everything around it. Just do this so that while I'm sanding, it's not getting all over the door. It also keeps the underside protected so that nothing's getting up in there. Before I can get started on any painting, I do, like I said, have to do some more body work on this. Showed you the little swirls that were up in here. There's a few more down in this area, and I think there's some more right over in here. I'm not just going to try to sand that down and hope it looks great. I'm going to make sure that it looks perfect. To do that, I'm going to be using my dry guide coat. This stuff works absolutely amazing. It makes sure that you get all of those scratches out. I shouldn't have to put it on any areas above this body line right here. I didn't touch any of this. All I sanded it down with was 600. All of my actual body work was down here. I'm going to get my guide coat on here, get it all spread out. I will get everything sanded down. I'm going to get everything blocked out. I'm not going to use my DA. And then once I'm done, this thing should be ready for paint. All right, my friends, here is where we are at. As you saw, I tried sanding down the rest of the door. Once I started getting into it, I noticed that as I was sanding that primer back, I could still see all of those swirl marks that just kept appearing underneath where the primer was. I didn't want to take a chance. I wasn't going to try to just spray my base coat over all of that. I sanded everything back down with 180 grit, and then I reprimered everything. I blocked everything out with 320, then blocked out again with a guide coat with 600. There's a few areas that I burned through, so I hit them with some etching primer. The problem is, the whole reason why I was going to sand this thing down more anyway is because I could see those 180 grit swirls from the DA. Before I laid the primer on, like I said, I sanded everything down with 180 grit, and you can still see those scratches right here. I understand that the primer is filling all of this in, and technically if I laid the base coat over, everything should be completely flat. However, everything that I keep reading says that 180 grit is not fine enough. Even though it is 100 degrees in Texas right now, I want to make sure that all of that solvent is gone. I don't want that primer shrinking. Otherwise, I'm going to have the same issue that I had with the front door, and you're going to be able to see all of these scratches in a certain light. I don't want to have to sand this thing back down like I did the front door. Here is the primer that I'm using. It's this U-Pole System 20. This stuff works absolutely great. So that I actually mixed the gray and the black. Once you start sanding down the door, the factory primer color is actually a really dark gray. I mixed them together to match. You do look on the back here, it does say right here as far as prepping. I don't know if you can see that, it's really tiny, but it does say 180 to 220 grit. I was really hoping that the 180 grit would be fine, and it probably is. I just really don't want to take a chance. So what I've decided to do, I don't have any 220, but I do have my 320 here. So what I'm doing is I'm just going back along this edge. I'm trying to knock all of this edge down into where it starts breaking through down here. And then I'll block it out with the 320. I'll block it out with the 600 again. And then all of those 180 grit scratches should be gone. Is finally all finished up. It's ready to go for paint. I was not able to show the final blocking. For some reason my camera overheated and it stopped filming as soon as I hit the time lapse. I feel like this video has been very redundant. For any of you that have stuck to the end, I really appreciate it. The whole thing has just been me spraying primer, sanding, spraying more primer, sanding, blocking. As I said before, I'm not sure if spraying another layer of primer on here was actually necessary. Maybe that primer did fill in those 180 grit scratches. I did have problems with the front door, so I just wanted to make sure that I covered everything. All of these scratches that you see right here, these are all the 320 grit scratches. I know that primer will have no problem filling those in. I did burn through on a few areas right here on the edge. You can see where I laid down some of my etching primer. Everything up here at the top should be just fine. Before I actually paint it, I do go back over the entire panel with just like some 600 grit. I'll blow it off, clean it up with some degreaser really good. And after I do that, that's when I'll actually sheet my base. I am gonna go ahead and end the video here. This is just gonna be the bodywork video. And the next video is when I'll actually paint this thing. Didn't want to try to rush it. I wanted to take my time. I'm also gonna be trying something new up here at the top. I'm gonna actually have to blend the clear. For now, again, all the bodywork's done. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if you learned something, please hit that like button. If you want to see this thing get painted, see it go back on the EVO, please hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys next time.